Christina, Universe Citizen presents In the Beginning, October 8th, 2023. New awareness of dynamic equilibrium of motion economics. It would be pointless to disagree that universe is the sum total aggregate of humans' experiences, and that there are more comprehensively inclusive conceptualities in respect to what has sufficed as talking points in compliance with expected factors and conformity to the status quo. Awareness of this synergetic advantage throughout our individual contribution to the universal communications process anticipates metaphysical intellect's geometry of thinking. This consciousness evolution could be referential to a vector equilibrium as initial unity, since, and after all, the vector equilibrium not only is the equanimity model, it is the domain of a point, even though at this barest cognizance between apprehending the newness of these general systems and comprehending the relative importance of such knowledge, we feel compelled to iterate what is thus far discerned from our Buckminster Fuller's Synergetics, in particular today, domain of a point. Primarily because, and unlike the cultivated communicating process in many newly formatted platforms, by so doing with Synergetics Online, literally, our individual inputs can be on the same page. Decidedly, we can individually share economical effectiveness to leave less doubt in the wake of speeches that quickly fade into oblivion pertaining to the individually perceived and conceived message units. At last, it is easier to think about the whole universe as we deliberately undertake to conceptualize its eternally regenerative intertransforming knowledge, including a billion galaxies and billions of stars, since the point that may come into mind naturally is cosmic to local, and apparently the design science of universe is through and through. Our ancestors may have gazed at the stars. Some might have wondered about correlations to thought itself. Evolved generations included geniuses whose curiosity observed, measured, and discovered the most economical way of doing so. In the case of our Buckminster Fuller Synergetics explorations in the geometry of thinking, we learn about closest packed spheres, which correlates to all space filling, and awareness of the most omnidirectional symmetry, as well as all that could be said of unity. The unity of universe does not omit the individual's metaphysical generalized conceptioning field of thought, since it consists always of the observer plus the observed. It goes without saying, but talk of it we must, that unity is plural and at minimum two. But getting to quantum mechanics and multiplication only by division, correlatively to a fundamental awareness of unity, are steps away from subdividing the unity of the universe as information gathering, information sorting, and memory storing, to be recalled and restored as local problem-solving systematic progressions involves the human brain and mind at every step of our humanity's consciousness evolution. Surprisingly, few of us on Earth have a clue about such potential activation of point domains. Technically and literally, this is missing from the universal communications process. Mostly, we become absorbed by seemingly bright, outspoken observers who take in what most of us overlook because we are not actually drawn to listening or reading about details that never occur to our imagination as a potential correlation to survival. Once we tune into a point of contention, a point of view, a descriptive point of disorder that strikes a familiar chord of discontent, disarming our personalized equanimity and all aspects of survival, then an approach to a common ground becomes feasible. In that experimental human experience, most of us prefer amicable solutions. While we may get excited to observe futile aggressions that articulate some degree of relative insanity, it nonetheless strikes an amused chord to make us laugh at human behavior. Normally, we are happy in the process to not be one of those who are railed against, physically jousted in a competition to prove who is stronger, bigger, better, and defeated by the pulverizing opponent. Obviously, such behavior as human events is physical, not metaphysical. Among the irreversible succession of self-regenerative human events, as we can see in Synergetics 502.22, are experiences, intuitions, speculations, experiments, discoveries, productions, the EISEDP. We are advantaged knowing about the process being both irreversible and non-identically repetitive. Fortunately, for the survival and evolution of our human mammalian species, humans of the eternal, omniscient mind, in quotes, the most economical is always spontaneous, end quote, in quotes. Most economical equals spontaneous. Buckminster Fuller, April 3rd, 1975. The most economical way of behaving relative to unity and self does not suggest any essential correlation to the PRJWBCHM, politics, religion, justice, war, belief complexes, hierarchical matrix, to which most people refer their anticipatory survival correlation Instead, our 21st century unity concerns can refer to Synergetics 526.40, domain of a point, relative to all space filling. Our novitiate awareness of closest packing spheres informs us of the rhombic dodecahedron. Yet, this informed awareness does not omit the octet truss being the most economical and the tetrahedron as conceptual model in the field of our most economical considerations. Unlike any previous generation, our 21st century is dealing with generalized systems, not the least spontaneous, political profit accruing motivations, as weaponizing the systems of government continue to elicit exploitations in the value of doing harm. At the outset, such solutions may strike an exciting chord in the memory of our evolution when physical prowess was essential for survival of the clan, the tribe, the group of humans that clung to a greater than lesser number to survive. Now, though, our species' survival is paramount. Therefore, the supreme power vested in our adoption of anticipatory design science models respecting future realities and adapting self-awareness to the most economical way of behaving relative to unity and self in universe. We can never get out of universe, as a matter of fact, but we can always get out of system, cosmic logically, system awareness, systems thinking, knowledge of the minimum structural system of universe, all space filling, closest packing of spheres, comprehension, energy events differentiated from human events, domains of an area, the domain of a line, the domain of a point, correlate to domains of consciously induced domains of thought, actions, thought, language. Altogether, these topological characteristics of systems are wholly WHOLLY relevant to the omni-rational minded consciousness evolution to which this generation aspires as the newest ground of knowledge. It is what we are establishing now for the procreating progeny of all future generations. Let us give more conscious consideration to what we are setting into motion now. Everything is in motion, as we can read more about this in Synergetics 703.12, and is always traveling in the direction of least resistance. Of course, and logically, spontaneously, it is everything in universe that is in motion, including humans of a mind, as we anticipate correlations between thought and action, mindful of critical proximity and what we can learn to include in the universal communications process, referential to dynamic equilibrium of motion economics. This is especially relevant to 21st century economics, since the relative rates of transformation can be spoken of as motion, which is not relative to standing still, but is relative to eternity, inherent in the generalized principles of the universe without exception. To be continued in the beginning 15. Thank you. Reference: Synergetics 445.05, Initial Unity. Synergetics 502.22, EIS, EDP. Synergetics 536.40, Domain of a Point. Synergetics 703.12. Contact Christina Universe Citizen at gmail.com. Thank you.